You just pop it in and take it the whole way with you.
Yeah, which is easy, too. It's only like 45 minutes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just take some time out of your day.
Easy.
Don't pay attention to your children for 45 minutes, and you can listen to the show. One shot.
It's the best way. I honestly, I do that like every single day. My kid's in the back seat, and he's like, "Daddy," and I go, "Huh? Yeah, hold on real quick."
I know you're hungry. Shut
Yeah.
up. It's only 5 more minutes left.
Come on, man. Hey, we got a ton of stuff to get to here today on Kevin's other show. Excited to talk about. Got to talk a little bit about what the hell is going on at ESPN.
This is ridiculous.
It's crazy. They're making all kinds of continual programming changes, man. Every time you turn over there, it's like, what are they doing? So
you never know any of the hosts anymore.
Yeah.
I'm so lost.
Yeah, I'm hoping you can try to make sense of some of what's going on there. But, man, there's just got to be some underworkings of drama. Get to that coming up next segment. Last night, though, you got to give them some love, man. I mean, what a huge win for the Panthers last night. Dang, they are looking good.
Panthers win the draw. Pesic's wrister score! It may have been deflected in. Haley was in the slot, and the Panthers get one early for the lead. Yandel on the move, and he shoots, he scores! Keith Yandel with a wrister. Barkov again, in front for Dadonov, he scores!
This is exciting.
Oh, what a goal by the top line, and the Daddy gets his
It's
23rd
unbelievable.
of the year.
It's a
And now
football
it's loose,
score.
and McCann is ahead, he's got a breakaway. McCann scores! Jared McCann finishes it off, and the Panthers are off and running. Nice speed, Vetrano in the slot, score! Keith Yandel with a great look in Vetrano. 2-on-1, Dadonov, Bukestad, and they got another one. Big Nick finishes it off. Big Nick come to Canada.
That's a great name.
Back-to-back nights officially eliminate the Canadians and the Senators from the playoff race.
Oh, they're out. Wow.
They went into Canada. Not only did they win those games, they eliminated both of those teams from the playoffs.
Pretty badass.
They're like the Terminator of hockey right now.
Gosh, what a great name, though. Big Nick.
Big Nick.
Big Nick, man.
Big Nicky Bustad.
Gosh.
Yeah, what an unbelievable play by them. And James Reimer was in the net last night instead of Luongo.
33 saves.
Dude, he's just, between the two of them, it's like if they can continue to do that the entire playoffs, just switch off between Luongo and Reimer.
Yeah.
Man, they could have a real good shot. Now they have 81 points. They're 1 point behind the Devil for the 8th spot, and like you said, they got 3 games in hand for everybody else. So let's see if they can be able to pull this out.
Columbus Thursday, right?
Yes, Columbus Thursday. Is that? I can't remember if that's home or not.
No, I think that's in Columbus.
Okay, they're up in Columbus.
Yeah, Blue Jackets in Columbus. That's what's going to be going on.
It's really they've just been on an absolute tear. It's been so much fun to watch, but 7 goals. This is one thing that people usually are pretty mad about with hockey is that the disparity of goals. But I mean, that game was not. You listen to that. That was every goal last night. It was 7 goals.
7 in a row, just unloaded.
Yes, and it was
Was
predominantly
it 4 in the second? Is that what it was? 4 in the second?
It was predominantly in the second. They just went after and over and over, and then you hear the announcer go, "Oh, they got another one." It was insane,
beating them down.
Especially coming off of the game where they scored in the very first period, and not until the last 6-7 minutes of the last period.
Yeah.
So,
any what are the high points for getting into the playoffs? What are your concerns?
I think that the biggest concern right now would just be the health of both of the goalies, because I mean it seems like their front line's playing really well. Between Bukestad, Davinoff is playing amazing.
Reimer's the most encouraging thing you're seeing right now with the Panthers.
But you know what? Luongo came in the other day and he caused that shutout. And I mean, it's just,
he's been playing great, but I mean, yeah, he's
Reimer's been awesome
age
too.
and injury. And the amount of games that they got, you're like, okay, is Luongo, how fresh is he going to be into the playoffs?
Yeah, but like I said, if they can do this switch and move thing, that this could be really, really beneficial for them, because they've proven, game after game that Luongo and Reimer can come in at any point in time and be able to take care of it.
Team you don't want to play in the playoffs, you think, right? Panthers?
A team you don't want to play in the play, absolutely, because these guys, they have not like they have nothing to lose, but they have nothing to lose.
Yeah,
they're really they're coming in on the skin of their teeth. If they can do some damage, which I really think they can, because they have really gotten hot at the right time, their entire team has just linked together like crazy. And you have multiple players on there that have tons of goals. And I mean, Keith Yandel went off on it last night. I mean, it's McCann. The entire team has been going on all cylinders right now. So they could be a really scary team. And I have a feeling because you saw when the Bruins came down here, they're the third best team in the NHL right now.
Right.
And they blanked them.
Put it on them.
Yeah.
Another one of the shutouts.
So, I mean, I think they're going to come in and they're going to be like, we'll take anyone that you want to throw at us.
Okay. Been riding high on the Panthers. You feel better about where they are going into the playoffs than you do right now with the Heat?
It's a tough one.
Less optimism.
I think it's tough just because, I mean, you figure if they come into the 8th spot, they're going to be going against the best team in the East. And that's going to be really tough for the Panthers. Can they be able to do it? I believe they can do it. Will they do it is a different situation. With the Heat, now you're either going against the Boston Celtics or you're going against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers, if you can be able to detain LeBron at some point in time, I think the Cleveland Cavaliers probably give you a better chance. Boston is one of those teams that's just firing on all the cylinders right now. But Kyrie Irving, a little bit of a knee injury, still haven't figured out exactly what's going on. So maybe with a Kyrie-less Boston, they may not succumb to Brad Stevens.
You think that they match up a full Heat squad that, I mean, they're going deep on the bench. Everybody seems to be contributing to the Heat success. That if they've got that, then maybe they can outlast the Celtics. So you like them better against the Celtics?
I would say
than the Cavs.
With Kyrie limping, yes, just because I can never count out anything LeBron does.
Right.
LeBron is just like he creates this aura around him in the playoffs that just it can't be touched.
Be a cool matchup, though, for the first time to see Wade and LeBron, though.
It'd be the first time ever. Yeah. It'd be really, really cool to see it. I mean, obviously, the NBA wants it.
Well, Wade, when he is in those kind of like special moments, man, he shines. He does great. I mean, when he came back, remember night 1 at AAA, when he came back to the Heat, he had a great night. Yeah,
I mean, there's some people, they get that wind underneath him for the entire thing, but
he craves those moments and he shines.
He really does. Yeah. And to see that type of chemistry on there, and you never know. I mean, LeBron, the only thing that I can really knock against LeBron is that mentally he's had issues. He's never had issues physically, except for the one time with the cramps in San Antonio. But mentally, that's where he kind of wavers a little bit. Dwayne Wade could get in his head.
Yeah, well, can you tell me, like, mentally, what is going on with the Cavs right now? I mean, mentally, you've got a couple things that are going on here. What was that Tyronn Lue thing where he was like out he had to take time. It sounded like an indefinite leave. Then all of a sudden it's only going to be a week because of chest pains and he needed to sleep. But I mean, how many of us regular people are going to call their boss and be like, hey, dude, I don't know, I'm going to be out indefinitely. I need some sleep.
I mean, it's not a common...
And this is the NBA, right down to the wire. I mean, you're talking for the Heat. They got 11 games left.
It's not a common thing for normal jobs, but if you think about that, the amount of traveling they do, the amount of wear and tear. Tyronn Lue is a fairly new head coach. I mean, he's been in that assistant coaching position, but he hasn't been, that close-knit to it except for these past couple of years.
Right.
And, I mean, I can imagine being on a team, regardless if you're a coaching staff or a player, with LeBron has got to be emotionally taxing.
Is it playing with it's LeBron? Is LeBron wearing everybody on the Cavs down? Because Lou, he seems exhausted. Kevin Love is dealing with his own issues now, where he has got panic attacks and disorder that he's being open about and talking about.
I mean, he could have had that before. Who knows? Yeah. But, I mean, I would really believe that LeBron would probably take some of that out of him. But trying to bring it to the surface.
But right now, you don't want the conversation being the mental health of your team when you're getting ready to head into the playoffs.
No. You absolutely don't. I mean, like, that's actually the worst thing, because the mental stability in the playoffs is really what matters more than the physical stability, if you think about it, because the teams that have really been very, very good are the ones that were able to keep it mentally together and play as a team.
So
you start going different ways, it goes all that.
You got Kyrie's knee, but then you've got the head case Cavs. So, which team, if you're the Heat, you want...
That's why that's why I was saying in yesterday's show, the X factor is Dwayne Wade for Miami, and not in a physical sense. It's in an emotional sense. It's in an emotional sense for the team. People that
but you still have the same D Wade if you face the Celtics. I mean, does he have the same motivation?
Yeah, he's still gonna have the same motivation, because he wants to bring that team one more championship. He wants to be able to do that, or be able to bring them far enough in the playoffs that where they can say, wow, this team actually is worth something, because after this year, they're going to want to attract free agents.
Yeah.
So if they turn around and say, wow, this squad really can do it with a good leader, you have people like Paul George that are looking for a team. Now, would he go there? I don't know. I mean, but
you want to sell yourself as best as you can. You want to end strong, so somebody's like saying, hey, maybe the Heat are missing that one superstar
That's
because Wade's got
really
enough
what
in the
it
tank.
is. Yeah, I mean, it's because it's a superstar league. It has been for a while. And the situation with him is that you have that superstar, but you can't play to superstar status anymore. So he has to bring everybody else up to his mental capacity.
Okay.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But you got head case Cavs and knee case, Boston Celtics.
The physical versus the mental. That's what the Heat are looking at in the playoffs.
Basically. So,
and what do you want to face?
And, I mean, the point of having Wade was really to bring leadership back to the team, something that I don't believe Hassan Whiteside, who is the best player on that team, has. So, I mean, they didn't really get it out of Justice Winslow. Goran Dragic, he's a role player. He's always been a role player. He's a great player. He's an amazing addition to the Heat. But they need somebody that's going to be that driving force, and Dwayne Wade right now is that person. But if he can be able to prove that that person can bring this team, then somebody who is a free agent that has that mentality can be able to come into the Heat organization and make a difference.
Talking about just head case mental stuff, there's just so much mess in today's NFL news. I don't even know where to start. We got an update on Jonathan Martin. Have you heard how much prison time that guy's looking at?
No, I didn't.
Okay, yeah, he's. I'll drop that on you. Something that we talked about yesterday on Kevin's other show. And did you hear about Zay Jones?
Yes, I heard about it. I didn't read into the whole entire story, though, so I'm very interested to see what these facts are.
Mark Gastineau, too. Unbelievable audio on that. We're going to get to all that, including a new competitive league going up against the NFL with details on that next.
Get Kevin's other show whenever the hell you want on YouTube and at 640thehurricane.com.
People in the NFL are completely melting down. And every day it seems like we got another story about CTE or something that is going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a big issue for a while, but I mean, it's going to continue to happen because these guys are messed up from it.
High profile stories that are happening. Jonathan Martin, that we had talked about yesterday, the former Dolphins lineman, you might remember all the drama that happened. I can't believe it was all the way back in 2013. But
yeah, it was a while ago.
You had all that kind of issue that was going on. It was he and Richie Incognito, and then Mike Pouncey was involved with this, and they were talking about bullying. And now it's come back to the forefront. And Richie Incognito seems like he's been fine with the Bills, right? I mean, he had 2013 where the Dolphins, spent him 8 games, something like that. And then 2014, he completely sits out, comes back 2015 with the Bills. He just seems like he's been a productive, great player ever since. And you're going, okay, what was going on there? And yesterday, that's what we were trying to do. Not that you would know, but how do you ascribe any blame on this? I mean, was it...
He went to Arizona. He went to a mental clinic. He said he took time to be able to find himself and everything like that. So maybe he really was rehabilitated.
Yeah. Maybe he was. Jonathan Martin, though, went the other direction. He goes to San
Polar
Francisco.
opposite.
One more year in the league, gone out, bam, hanging out there in California, and now is pleading not guilty to this whole post and the threat that he put out with guns and talking about his former high school. And what we were talking about yesterday, going after Richie Incognito and Mike Pouncey, threatening both those guys and saying, in a sense, he was coming back after them for what they did bullying-wise when he was on the Dolphins.
Yeah, with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Hashtag Miami Dolphins.
Right. He's
doesn't look good.
It doesn't look. I mean, it's when you put something on social media and then you plead not guilty. I mean, I understand you're trying to be like, oh, work with me here.
Well, this is the thing is that it's hard to, and I imagine the prosecution is trying to determine whether this actually was a threat or not. And that's the one conversation you could have is like, was he just being stupid or was it an actual threat? That's hard to tell from.
We're going to revisit all the nonsense that happened in the Dolphins locker room in 2013. In this case, you're going to revisit that because that is Jonathan Martin's case. His case is that you bullied me, you pushed me. The environment that existed with the Dolphins, you allowed this to happen. You knew this was going on. You allowed an environment to happen.
The coaching staff let it to happen.
Yeah.
And the coaching staff let it to happen to them as well. So, I mean, it's like these guys were bullying them as well.
Yeah.
Which is even more insane.
So how complicit is the Dolphins going to be in this?
Yeah.
If this comes down and everybody wants to cast the blame on somebody else, and Jonathan Martin right now, he's looking at 6 years, if convicted. 6 years. So he's going to kick as much blame as he can onto Incognito and Pouncey and try to say, I was pushed to this, I was fine before this, what they were doing and what they were saying. And you're right, some of the stuff, in our world, it looks crass. It looks uncalled for.
Yeah.
And how do you judge in a court of law the standards? It's going to be based on what we see in society, not based on what things are like in an NFL locker room, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It favors Jonathan Martin in this case.
Yeah, because you're judged by a group of your peers.
Yeah.
But in reality,
what are they going to do? Get 24 NFL players to sit on that jury?
That's what I'm saying.
That's
It's like
not going to happen.
those people don't. I mean, maybe some of them will be, but suffering from CTE at some point in time, or if that's the case they want to go to, it's like it's going to be very tough to be able to pull that off.
And we right now, you're just starting to always hear stories about CTE and judge it. You're trying to set a standard on, okay, how do we figure out what we deem to be acceptable from CTE and what is not? What are the kind of behaviors that you're going to see? Is it carte blanche for any kind of crazy behavior that happens? And how many players now are going to blame anything that they do on CTE? I mean, there's a story out right now. Zay Jones in the video is damning. I mean, it's everything you want to see. Buffalo Bills player got arrested Monday. He's running around a Los Angeles apartment complex. He's naked, talking about wanting to fight for Jesus.
Oh, okay.
He's going to fight for Jesus. I don't know what that means. At least he doesn't want to fight Jesus. He's going to fight for. That's an important word to have in there. You want to fight for Jesus, not fight Jesus.
Yeah, you want to fight Jesus. I think you piss off a lot of people. Fight for Jesus, you might get a church named after you.
Not to mention, Jesus might be a great brawler.
You never know.
You
really. I mean, you
He's
see how long he carried that cross?
You're right.
There's a term, ripped like Jesus. There's
Absolutely.
a reason why.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen there, but he's completely naked in this video, acting like a lunatic. He's all bloodied up. He puts his foot through a window. I mean, it's insane.
Like you do.
So with this, if you're Zay Jones, who knows what he might have been on, what might have been going on. But still, the fact that you are an NFL player, you always can jump into the CTE because they can't determine whether you have CTE unless you have an autopsy. Is that right? I mean, is that how you determine if somebody has CTE? Because it's not like a brain scan, right?
Yeah, I found that there was a story not too long ago that was saying that they may have made a breakthrough with that they could be able to test for CTE before you're dead. But right now, the predominant thing is that you have to be dead in order to, because they have to actually physically remove your brain.
Yeah, confirmed cases we know.
Yes,
they're deceased NFL players. But the ones who go
like Aaron
around,
Hernandez, when they did the autopsy on him, they said he had massive damage to his brain.
Right. And so now you're looking back on those players and saying, okay, how much of the bad behavior do we actually chalk up to CTE?
Yeah.
Do you forgive some of it? Is it really their fault for their actions now? And this is it. How many players then are going to try to play that? Jonathan Martin, could he say, CTE, baby, you can't send me to prison?
Yeah, it's really tough because it's that gray area. Once again, it's like there's a bunch of other different things in society that get spewed into that. It's like the cop pulled him over. Why? Just because he was black. It's like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
But it's just because that's the the narrative that's going on. So he can use that narrative towards it, but I mean, it's hard to believe because you can't have any proof of it.
What about somebody that's played 4 years of high school? Can you say, I had 3 concussions in high school, I've got CTE, and that's why you had the bad behavior? You can't send me to prison. It's not my fault.
You could have been a skateboarder and fell on your head a bunch of times. You can have CTE. CTE has nothing to do with the actual sport you play. So, I mean, it's a possibility, but a man who physically bashes himself into another man for a living, yes, you would imagine CTE.
But this is the day and age. We want to explain away why we do the bad things that we do. And if you establish something legitimate like a CTE and you say, it's not me, it's the CTE. Mm-hmm. Mark Gastineau, one of those people that is talking about his time playing in the NFL and far removed from playing in the NFL, but a guy that had a lot of really hard collisions and has had, behavior and issues that have gone on since his playing days. Here he is in an interview talking about his brain, and he has a complete meltdown.
I haven't been that way. I wasn't the smartest little, cookie in school. But you know what? I wasn't that way. My wife, she and I used to go around and do yard work. But you know what? She does everything now for me. Seriously. It's not good. It's not good. When I'm laying in bed until 3, 4, 5, it's not good.
That's just like the saddest sound on the entire planet.
Oh, it is. I mean, this is a guy that is completely melting down, talking about sleeping his day away, and without his wife, he really can't even get around or function.
Yeah.
I used to think I was all that. I did. But you know what, Pete? I was nothing. You know why? Because of what happened to me, you know? And I'll tell you this much. The NFL's wrong. The NFL's wrong. They're wrong.
I mean, honestly, like if I didn't know the situation on that sounds like a dude that's hammered at a bar.
It really does.
Spilling out his guts.
And I mean, like usually when we grab audio, we like to cut out the blank spaces so we can save some time. But those spaces he takes in those words are really some of the most telling parts of the way he's talking, because it takes him so long to process from his brain to his mouth to actually figure out what he's saying.
Yeah.
And he'll stop halfway through. Like he was like, "I'm not the smartest cookie in the school." And it's like that wasn't what he was meant to say, but it's just like his brain just snapped for some odd reason. So it's just harrowing listening to it.
Yeah. But you listen to that and your heart goes out for Mark Gastineau. And then you hear from Lisa Gastineau, who
it's just bad.
Now, Lisa Gastineau, for anybody who doesn't know, this is his ex-wife.
It's his ex-wife, yeah, who obviously he did very bad by.
And how long have they been divorced? Do you have any idea on that?
I don't know.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a while.
Okay. Her response to that audio you just heard, if you're feeling for Mark Gastineau, I'll just let you know, she doesn't.
I gotta ask you, you know, your ex Mark was on the radio last week.
Ex who?
Mark was on. Mark.
Because who?
Who?
Really?
He was on. Yeah. Well, he was on the radio last week, and he broke down crying because he said that football's ruined his life.
Maybe it's karma.
Really? Yeah, it's that bad.
Could be karma.
Okay, I mean, like, so you don't ever like feel for him?
Karma.
Okay.
Karma.
I mean,
Wow. Okay. You know what? If you talk to her, what she's probably saying is, look, he had a fresh mind when I was with him. He was an awful person. Now his mind is deteriorating and he's melting down on the radio, and I don't feel for him a bit because, and he says he used to walk around and think that he was all that. Do you blame that behavior on CTE?
I see, but that's when he had a fresh mind, so who knows?
Right.
I think this is really what it is. I think the crying, the breaking down, the not being able to finish sentences, I think that's the repercussion of CTE more than it is.
And how long does it take before something like that sits in? You see an Aaron Hernandez, and you're like, that was a dude that was pretty fresh off of it. You know, Mark Gastineau, is CTE something you start seeing the effects immediately, or is it going to take you 10, 15, 20 years?
No, but Aaron Hernandez was a psychopath.
Yeah, we don't know. So there's still going to be a lot of discussions about that. Got to talk about what the heck is going on at ESPN and the unbelievable drama that has to be happening behind the scenes of two of the biggest names that were ever at the network doing radio together for 18 years.
Yeah.
Greenberg, Golic. There's no way they like each other, and I will tell you why coming up next.
It's Derek Jeter's favorite sports show, just like Derek Jeter is Florida's favorite owner. Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
So last night on Twitter, I see this announcement that they're going to be moving Golic and Wingo over to ESPN News and taking Levitard and putting him over there as well. And as you can imagine, I mean, Twitter's such a hater platform. So, I mean, people were just saying unbelievably god-awful things about both, and I didn't really fully even understand, you know, what that means. I mean, yeah, there's ESPN, ESPN2. You know, on an app, you watch ESPN3, and there's ESPN News, and there's ESPNU, and
WESPN.
Yeah. So,
ESPN Deportes.
Right. ESPN. There's so much. I don't know what is what, and, you know, which network on ESPN is ranked the most. I mean, you know ESPN, and then my go-to next is ESPN2 because
they're right next to each other on the clicker.
Yeah, but you know what? when you're talking about, for me, I'm a college football guy. That's my thing. So I know if it's not on ESPN, I'm going to check ESPN2 or ABC. I mean, that's how things bounce around. But then today, I see this story, and ESPN, I know, has been going through a lot. I mean, you even look at what we've got here at 640 The Hurricane.
Yeah.
I mean, we got two of the biggest names. Names, brands that were built and molded by ESPN and Dan Patrick and Colin Cowherd.
Yeah.
Lou, you know, they were the cornerstone for me of ESPN Radio. When I first tuned into ESPN Radio, those are the two voices that I listened to that got me locked into ESPN Radio.
Yeah.
And
there are two different sides of the spectrum when it comes to sports radio, too, as well.
when
The super analytical and the super laid back, I can have a beer with you kind of guy.
yeah,
I think it's what was great about ESPN to a point was that you kind of understood and you felt like you could be friends with these people. Now it's like all just like
ESPN, what they were when I grew
like
up.
Hollywood.
I was around when ESPN first signed up. ESPN was the image of stability, the brand.
Yeah.
ESPN. What a huge monolithic name.
Mm-hmm.
What is stunning to me today is how that brand is just eroded, where you see its biggest names now, and it's confusing to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I see Skip Bayless, a name that was made, again, by ESPN, is not there anymore.
yeah.
You know, some of those biggest names have escaped, and what they had that was stable is now gone. Mike and Mike, 18 years. I know what it's like doing a radio show for 18 years. It's not easy, and to be around for 18 years is something. I completely applaud what they had there. And I was confused as to why Mike Greenberg was going to be leaving and what was going on there.
I knew the ratings were not doing well, and the ratings had been tanking for a while. So, I mean, my assumption was because, I mean, I didn't hear anything about anything he was doing. So when the cut was made, I was like, all right, well, I mean, ratings have been down. I assume he's probably just leaving.
I swear I saw him on SportsCenter or on just regular ESPN, just doing what he used to do before he went to Mike and Mike, which, I mean, I think the last time he did SportsCenter, he had frosted tips. I'll let you know how long ago. I swear, I think, yeah.
Oh, my.
That
Yeah,
was Mike Greenberg 18 years ago.
I like go out of my way to refuse to watch ESPN now. I don't even bother with it anymore. It gives me no value anymore.
Why is that? What's changed? I mean, I still watch ESPN a good bit, but what is tough for me is, you know, names that you used to know, Chris Berman, when you would tune in, they're just gone. You don't know who these people are. And it's like, why do you have so much turnover, and why can ESPN, what they were known for, stability, consistency. Mm-hmm. What is going on with ESPN and their stability and consistency?
One of the things that has been kind of trickling into sports so much has been politics. And they tried it with Jemele Hill and Michael Smith, and it didn't work out, obviously. Jemele Hill obviously she got moved off of that show specifically for that reason, for her being too political outside of the actual platform. Mm-hmm. But they try to push almost an agenda on you.
But they've got a show now that she's doing, and they got a whole network that is going to be focusing on that. That's why she left.
Yeah, that whole thing,
SC6 or whatever they called it,
whatever the hell that was it once again refused to watch. So when they did that, there was a reason for it. They had to reprimand her at a point in time, but they were just setting her up to do something else because she's polarizing and she brings eyes. And I mean, people forget it's a media company. Yeah. I mean, they're looking for money. They don't give a crap what you think.
Of course.
But if you hate it, you're going to tune in. If you love it, you're also going to tune in.
But they're wanting to, it seems like they're trying to, and what they're doing with her and other people as well, is they're doing the sports and social commentary.
Yes.
They want to combine the two.
Which is kind of the reason why a lot of people have been swaying away from ESPN, is because they've been...
And you're seeing a growth of Barstool Sports and some other sidelines that are coming in. The growth of Fox Sports.
The very first time that I realized that this was like a big issue was when Pat McAfee decided that he was going to go into media, but not with ESPN, not with Fox, not big names, and he went to Barstool. I'm like, this is a huge shift in sports media.
When anyone would shun ESPN, the monolithic brand of ESPN, and say, no, I'm going to pass on you. And no one would, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you don't pass on ESPN. First of all, you have no other options.
No.
And that is part of it, too, now. I think you have other options. And it seems like these other options, they've got more attitude. There's a little bit more fun. There's a little bit more pop culture and attitude that's with it, without the social, political commentary, which seems to be polarizing. And you can't tell me there's not going to be drama around this. I saw just right before we got in here, I guess the move for taking Golic and Wingo, which, by the way, I read last night that ratings are down from Mike and Mike a year ago, 20%. So ratings are tanking with Golic and Wingo in the morning, and now they're going to be moving them to ESPN News. But here's what's happening. Mike Greenberg is going to be paid $6.5 million, the former dude that was with Golic doing Mike and Mike. He's going to be partnering up with Jalen Rose. They're taking Michelle Beadle, another name that they've made, Sports Nation, and are going to be moving her down for Get Up, a new show debuting. I think it's going to be April 2nd. I think it's going to run in place of SportsCenter, but part of that is moving Golic and Wingo then over to ESPN News. That's part of the whole thing.
It's a complete disaster.
So Mike Greenberg is coming in and sticking it. One mic is sticking it to the other mic. I mean, right? I mean, he's moving in a better slot, more viewers, and you're saying, hey, look, your former partner is better than you. $6.5 million. I probably guarantee Golic is not making $6.5 million with ESPN.
No, unless it equates to donuts or something like that. I don't think that he's making anywhere near that. And Greenberg is making big money, but this show, it's quoted from Greenberg that they said, if politics come into our everyday life, we would be
irresponsible, I think, in a sense, is kind of the attitude that
to
they're
not
taking.
not talk about it. It's like,
right.
Okay, when now does politics not come into our lives? So you're basically telling me that you're going to be putting on a political sports show.
Well, it sounds like so. What is this for the sports liberal? Is what they're going to be doing?
I mean, I would assume because 90% of sports media right now is kind of pushing towards that liberal side. ESPN has been accused tons of times of pushing a sort of liberal agenda, and I don't think that whether you're conservative or liberal, it doesn't matter. It's just like, I want to hear about sports. And if you want to have your takes, that's fine, but have your takes on your own damn time, not on mine. Mm-hmm. I want to watch SportsCenter. I want to watch highlights. I want to watch you give funny names to the baseball players.
Okay, but
I don't care how you feel about Donald Trump. Get over it.
But your late night talkers, you've got guys that are making it because they're attacking Trump. I mean, you look at what's going on with Colbert. He's number one because he's attacking Trump.
Worst to first.
But so why is it if that's the reason? You would think that if they're going to try to bring some social commentary into sports, that is going to be a boost for them in ratings.
Well, because they saw what Stephen Colbert did. He was last place, and then all of a sudden he started making fun of Trump, and then immediately became in first place. Jimmy Kimmel's doing the same thing. The one who is hurting the most out of all the late night is Jimmy Fallon, and the reason why is because he is a late night show host that is not really touching that stuff. He does every once in a while this, that, and the other, but he's a fun late night show host. That's what's going on with FS1, is that FS1 is starting to go, listen, this is what people want in sports. We're going to give you what you want in sports.
Right.
We're not going to give you our political commentary because that's not what you came for.
But with late night hosts, people might want political commentary. It's been there forever.
Oh, granted,
and
yes.
When you come
Jay Leno said we made fun of everybody.
Right. And when you come to sports, you don't necessarily want all this deeper social political commentary. You want your sports. You want to feel and act like a dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're going there for an escape from everyday life. Sports has always been an escape. You go to a game to be able to kind of forget about the other things in your life, to be able to engulf yourself in something that's bigger than you.
There's got to be zero chance that Greeny and Golic are chummy.
No. I can't
be.
I can't see them being.
Yeah,
chummy
18 years it erupts, and then Greenberg
is
making the cash. I mean, you're taking his. Yeah, he's taking his job.
You get boosted over to ESPN News.
Fascinated by it though. Coming up, Major League Baseball star chilling poolside. PGA National. We'll let you know exactly who that was. And Rick Pitino to FAU. We put out the poll. I'll let you know what you thought about it coming up next.
You can tell his wife. Just don't tell those other guys. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
Well, last segment we were talking a little bit about what the hell is going on at ESPN, the new programming changes, and when we're going to see the cage match between Golic and Greenberg.
I wish they would bring back Celebrity Deathmatch. You remember that show?
I do, yeah.
The Claymation show? That was the best show
If you did a Claymation,
ever.
Greenberg's got a chance because he finds some kind of like shifty way to cheat and kill Mike Golic. But otherwise,
he would dismember him.
One body to the next.
Put him in a fryer, frosting on him, and eat him as a donut.
Yeah. Guys, the thing that you were telling me, too, that I forgot is Golic's son is the lead-in to Greenberg's new show.
Yeah, he'll be the lead-in because Mike Golic Jr. does, I can't remember.
Greenberg's kicking daddy out, and the son's going to be the lead-in to the new Greenberg. And here's the guy who took my dad's job.
Yeah, exactly.
Gosh,
which is really
I
funny.
hear that.
But there's an hour layover now because Golic and Wingo starts at 6. This is not going to start till 7. So I'm confused what they're doing with that hour. Maybe they might put just they used to have, this is another reason why I hate ESPN. They had ESPN SportsCenter all night. And it was great because when I used to do a sports show back in the day, you drive into work and you'd be able to listen to all the highlights. Now I got to listen to fat-faced Mike Golic Jr. the entire time give his talks about when he didn't make it as an NFL player. ESPN has made so many missteps when it comes to putting talent on the air. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And they just keep doing it. Just keep bringing the wheelhouse and keep bringing it. And they keep losing people. Chris Broussard, FS1. Danny Cannell, even though I think he's a piece of crap too, he's on FS1. You lost Colin Cowherd. You lost Skip Bayless.
It's a mass exodus.
They're probably like Skip Bayless. We don't really care about Skip Bayless. But I mean, yeah, a mass exodus of people that had a very, very large persona with ESPN is leaving. And why is that? And why is nobody asking that question?
And when the battle to get Peyton Manning, wasn't that between ESPN and Fox?
Yeah, and Peyton Manning will go. I mean, the amount of money that Peyton Manning. Wait till he actually settles in a job. The amount of money that Peyton Manning is going to get is going to be astronomical.
I think they're talking about $10 million a year.
It's insane.
So $10 million a year.
Isn't that what Gruden's getting?
Yeah, it's what Gruden's getting for the Raiders.
I mean, Jesus.
He's going to make that kind of. He's going to make and that
and he
by
actually
the way
has to work, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and by the way, that's an astronomical contract too.
Yes.
I mean, $10 million.
I mean, you look at who you got. John Gruden coming out of retirement. I am going to miss him on Monday Night Football, though.
Yeah.
Terribly.
Looks like Peyton is going to be announcing on Thursday if he's going to go to Fox. So it looks like ESPN's going to whiff on another one.
I'm telling you, man, they don't want to go into it, and what they're doing, and it's like this is the one thing about this argument is that I always come off as like I'm like this staunch conservative, which I'm not. I just believe in both sides of the line.
Yeah.
And when ESPN takes themselves and they turn themselves into a political machine and they favor one side, you are alienating everything. One of the conversations we had about this show specifically, if we go way too much into stats, you're alienating so many people that are just casual sports fans. So we lay off of it. We try and give you a different introspective way of looking at these sports. And now what they're doing is they're going completely liberal, and all the conservatives, and if you had, a lot of conservatives that watch sports, yeah.
The conservative people I know, yeah. All my conservative friends, they're huge sports fans.
So
my liberal friends, not so much. I'd say maybe a third.
Yeah.
And it's not the same level of passion as my conservative friends.
But
that's not saying that's my sample.
But that's what you're going to do is that you're going to alienate an entire side of your viewers.
It's fascinating.
Gosh, it really is.
I want to see the reality show of the behind the scenes of ESPN. I want to see that.
ESPN is a very interesting story.
It's getting interesting now, not for like necessarily what they're putting on TV, but for what's happening behind the scenes.
For how much they pioneered in the beginning with George Bodenheimer.
Yeah.
When he took over, he went from being a salesperson to being over there. He went from town to town selling. When they actually built it all up, created ESPN2, did all this stuff. Like that story of how they innovated sports is so amazing. And they have just turned into this big heaping pile of crap since then. Where I don't go. I go to Barstool. I go to Deadspin.
Well, it seems like people are accepting of new attitudes in sports. Now, will they accept a new attitude in a sport? I can't even believe now we're talking about a possible third professional football league.
It's just really crazy. That proves to you the NFL is the most popular sport on the planet.
It's all about football. Everything's all about football, and here we are. I mean, our first segment was about like athletes flipping out and losing their minds, threatening people, crying on the radio.
Yeah, let's bash more heads together.
Right. So, but we're like, give us more.
It's insane.
I was already iffy about the XFL, and that's, something that is a brand that people recognize, not to say they like it, but now they're talking about an even different football league, Alliance of American Football, which, first off, that's a stupid name. The Alliance of American Football?
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
They lost me already. That lost me.
I don't really get that yet.
That I don't get. But what they're going to be doing, the argument for the Alliance of American Football, and this part's true, 28,000 Division I football players and only 1,700 have NFL jobs. They're saying that there are a lot. You may not notice the drop-off in the skill level. When I watch college football, to me, I think it's exciting. And that's the argument. There are some people like me that like college better than NFL, but without a doubt, the NFL players are more polished, they're better, they're faster, they're stronger, they're everything. But still, I like the college product better.
But it's an even playing field on both sides, though.
It is, and that's the thing with this thing. And
the ones that stand out are the ones that go to the NFL.
Right. So can you not take maybe a lesser breed of player, put them in this league, because they're all going to be on the same level, and still have exciting football? And especially if you're going to recognize the NFL's got some flaws and you're going to change your game a little bit. These are the kind of things that intrigue me. No kickoffs, which, I don't know, you could say good or bad.
It is what it is. It gives me a chance to take a piss. That's the only problem.
They're going to start off by putting the ball on the 25-yard line. Just go from there. We're not going to mess around with it. Play clock's going to be at 30 seconds. Every touchdown, you got to do a 2-point conversion, which I'm kind of cool with.
More scoring.
I've always loved that more with the college game.
The NFL did that. More scoring, can't touch the receivers.
no TV timeouts, and 60% fewer commercials. So if you're sick of the commercials, and they are ridiculous.
They are.
Oh my gosh, I'm watching March Madness. I'm like, I come back sometimes for 3 minutes of action. I'm back to like another 10-minute commercial break.
Well, it's sales.
The first game in championship already set to be on CBS. Looks like they might be taking it to an app as well.
Jesus.
8 teams, 50-man rosters. Host city's going to be announced in the next 3 months. Any chance it's got? I don't know. Arena football, I mean, you'd say, look, I mean, who watches arena football? Are we going to watch this?
A lot of people forget it exists.
Yeah.
Like, I was explaining to you yesterday about Jared Lorenzo playing the year. Like, he still plays. I'm like, yeah, he's like a huge star at arena football.
Didn't know. Yeah. Didn't know. You don't pay attention. I don't think anybody's going to pay attention to this league. They're trying to bring in some big names, former NFL guys to kind of boost it. But, yeah, I don't know. I necessarily see it coming up. All right, let you know the MLB player chilling poolside, Rick Pitino. Is he going to be coming to FAU, and do you even want that? We will get to that as we wrap it here in a second. Coming up.
You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. And by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm Beach. A world-class experience. Shop BremenPorsche.com now. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.